I just realized, and this is sort of a good practice through a mistake. I recorded the whole intro and pre-track listing showing without turning on my new microphone. So this is a great start. Hello world of YouTube, and welcome to not only the first music-related video of 2026, but the first episode of Redacted for 2026. An episode that was originally going to drop in November. I'm going to use January this year as a hodgepodge. I mean, honestly, some of the ensuing months as a hodgepodge of doing the things I didn't do in the tail end of last year because life has been chaos, while also doing new things and other ideas that I also was trying to cook in the interim of that chaos, but not quite to the production stage yet. Namely, starting again with this Redacted. It was supposed to be my topical Redacted for 2025, a subject that had a couple of albums up for discussion, some of which I really liked, some of which I thought were solid, but got sort of revisions in 2025. But the album that ended up on the plate today is one that I was excited for and one that I talked about very recently, so I'm going to skip some of the setup and preamble. You already know that I really thought this album was solid, if not a bit much, and my vision was to rein that in. The album is Cardi B's long-awaited sophomore outing that dropped last year, Am I the Drama?
Yeah, look, now I spit that other shit. Pretty motherfucker shit. Cardi B, every song platinum. I'm not the other bitch. Whatever you was going.
The real misfortune of this Cardi B album is that I really do think the spirit of this album has legs. You know, that's been proven considering where hip-hop's been over the last year, a la Mr. Kendrick Lamar. But unlike an album like GNX, which also has a beef sort of circulating throughout the heart of the project, Cardi gets a lot more direct on Am I the Drama. Names are actually said, things are actually like just put on the table, and I think that the attitude behind it is bold, but also very Cardi B, especially if you stuck around or liked her debut Invasion of Privacy. Her attitude is very much a core component of her identity musically, and I think that shining on this is choice. Like I said in the listening log update from last year, I just think that this album is a bit much. And also sort of has a good point that Cardi brings up, but doesn't reinforce that point in the sequencing, a la Cardi's big piece of ammo within the showing her power within this beef, her flexing, so to speak, is that she has become an archetype with which parts of the industry would like other women in rap to pursue, from an image, from a style standpoint and the like, and an attitude standpoint even. And that honestly would track considering how successful her single run has been between Invasion of Privacy and now. However, I think tacking all of, or a lot of those singles on the back half feels like a disservice to the strength of those singles and what could be said as a grander narrative structure for an album with the MO of I am her as the blood with which this album lives from. So my goal was to include some of the singles from the last 5 years that were scrapped and swap them in for some of the moments where I feel like the album feels like it's spinning in circles, and create a sort of look back through time interspersed with Cardi being steeped in the drama now that I think makes for a fun listen, an engaging listen, a little more of an engaging listen in my opinion than the original, even if it is a bit more brief. You know, one of my other big complaints, like I said, is that the original album is just a bit too long, and it's because it spins in circles a bit. But my version of Am I the Drama is still 18 songs, because sometimes songs are just shorter now, and I'm going to break down why I laid out the track listing like I did after showing you the track listing now.
I cried 300 days last year, none of y'all called me up, and like those tears that ran down my cheek, yeah, but I be sorry as fuck, girl. Hello, it's me. Hello, it's me. Hello, it's me. I'm that bitch, yeah. Face pretty, I know I could probably win a pageant, baby. They say I'm attractive, I be feeling like a magnet, baby. Look at your picture, I'm fiending. It don't feel over. Holding myself cause I need it. I got the hottest shit, hop out, popping it. They say I walk around looking like a compliment. Shut up, stop whining. First that bitch hate me, then this bitch hates me. And somehow they link up and they become friends like how? Bitch, pipe down. Bodega Baddie, how does a baddie think it's a what? Wanna get baddie, he wanna treat me just as streets be. He wanna drop that in my alley. Bitch, look good on the going out on the pop out. Cause it's hot out. You was playing games, and you on timeout.
Safe like you.
Facts.
Cause when I'm with you, I just know I'm fine.
No, I'm fine.
You take all the pressure off.
Pussy tight like a nun. Kinda hundreds up with my thumb. I don't care where you from. Better beat this shit. It's the principle, ayy. Can be out here, walk a bitch down to be sexy as fuck. Name 5 beer songs, gun pointed to your head. Bow, I'm dead. Y'all niggas ain't doing the numbers that my last shit did. You hate on me, you see how the last bitch did. Then it's up, if it's up, then it's stuck. If it's up, then it's up, then it's up, then it's stuck, huh? I can make the party hot.
I'm of my side, I'm stay for good. Because I want all of you.
Here we go again. These some bitches you don't know again. Must be a magician putting pictures in your phone again. I said certified free, 7 days a week. Wet ass pussy, make that pull out game weak. Hey, ooh, he wanna sex me. God's favorite, he just blessed me.
I said it in my review, but I think that the album does start off on a really strong foot. I tried rearranging the beginning a little bit just to see if the flow being switched up would make it better, and I just don't think it does. I think Dead through Imaginary Players is a really good stretch that has a 3-hit combo out the gate with a nice rug pull on Dead, a great Summer Walker collab, and not the only one that popped up on this album in the original version, but also in my Redacted. Going through Hello and Magnet, just a banger after banger follow-up that I think reaffirms or introduces and doubles down on the themes of just going for the jugular on here. Magnet is one of a handful of songs that just Cardi gets real personal with it in ways that are fucking wild. But then Pick It Up after that is one of a couple of songs about love and being with somebody, and it's a really solid collab with Selena. Before Imaginary Players is the moment where the album again sort of says like, hey, all right, finally now we're starting with not only the lead single from the actual album rollout, but also just a really good track that has a really great instrumental and some good just wordplay and reference play, considering Imaginary Players is the song itself. But in my version, I now use that as a point to introduce the idea of seeing how far we can go back, so to speak, by having the first of a couple of the songs from the last couple of years to get thrown into the track listing with the Like What freestyle, a song that feels like it's steeped in drama, a song where Cardi's talking about a hater, just being a hater and starting beef with somebody, and I think that it feels like it very much fits in the album's spirit in that regard, and I think that Cardi has some great bars in it. And it's a song that had some trendy, things pop up with it after it released, and it was just it's a smash from Cardi that again is a reaffirming of hey, I can make hits of a variety of styles, and this just happens to be one of them. And following that, I sort of just take the heat that's in Like What and just crank it up a bit more with 2 different flavors of Bodega Baddie and Outside. Following that with Bodega Baddie being just a song that uses the energy from Like What and just adds some just more vibrancy to it. And it's a great song that I think it would be tearing up in the summer if Cardi decides to make it into a video. While Outside is a moment that sort of gets back into the drama and just talks about being outside and again just going for the jugular, while also being a catchy song. It is more of a catchy song than Hello, and fits more like Magnet and being just a song that strikes to the core of the beef while also being kind of catchy, before going into an even more catchy song, Safe, with Kalani. Really good collaboration that has also been a single with a video for this album, but it also is another song that explores the more relationship side of the lyrics and feeling safe with your partner, especially when you're steeped in the drama, and how that sort of being in a relationship has been a component of this. Things have been really dodgy, and the drama of Cardi has extended into a variety of realms, but she's glad to be with somebody that makes her feel safe. And I kind of liked having this pocket of just singles, so I keep the singles train rolling by bringing back a single from 2023 into the mix, one of 2 collaborations with one Megan Thee Stallion, Bongos, a song similarly to the other single. It's just a hot-ass jam where they both compare sex with them to like beating on bongos. It's a very playful song, very, direct song that I think reaffirms Cardi's ability as a hitmaker, because it was kind of big in its time. But to further flex her pop writing prowess, I flip it from there into Principle, a song that is kind of like Safe in that she's talking about her relationship, but more her strengths in the relationship on Principle, and also is a different kind of pop song than Safe or Bongos or Outside, but is still very catchy and a really great jam that has an 80s throwback style thanks to the Janet Jackson flip, and I think is a really good song from Am I the Drama, easily one of the bigger strengths, and just outright a song that I think has high single potential, like everything that's been through this stretch of the record, before going into a song that just goes right back to the jugular and does so for a couple of songs with Pretty and Petty and Check Please. Pretty and Petty is a song that gets direct with it again, calling out Bia hardcore, and also has a really nice funky instrumental beneath it that feels like it kind of different retro inspired than Principle, but I feel like follows Principle nicely, even if it is a lot more aggressive than Principle is at any point. It is a song that I would argue is one of my favorites, just because I really like Cardi getting petty with it. I think she's a funny rapper. She's great with bars that just really hit the listener as hard as it probably did the person that it's directed towards. Whereas Check Please feels like the wind down and punctuation, and I use it as the punctuation to the more in the now drama focused moments, and let the album start to sort of sunset from there by having the relationship and the older singles be what rounds the album out. Plus, I don't know, the idea of Check Please, and it's Cardi just sort of like in a couple of moments, she's did these kind of like smaller songs where she just kind of flexes. I think Check Please is the best of those because she sounds the most kind of unhinged and kind of still just funny at her core throughout it. Her flow feels kind of like sort of like condescending in a way that like very much feels reaffirmed considering the successes she flexed on the album, and I sort of just try to flex more in my Redacted, and the still single strength potential considering what is also on the album from the recording cycle of this. There's also a line in Check Please that really inspired the Redacted, and it's the one where she talks about, being a talking point in record exec signage. If you sound like Cardi B, sign here. That inspired me to rearrange this track listing with that approach. While, again, it makes sense from a business perspective to tackle the older songs on the end that sort of just round things out. I like the idea of going back in time throughout the record amidst that, which is why we had, like What's from 2024, Bongos is from 2023. Following Check Please, I have Up from 2021. The song that sort of followed up some of her big splashes from 2020 to reconfirm that no, she's not going anywhere. Cardi B is here to stay, guys, with a song that is going to be huge and inspire more people to sound like this. And so I have it start here, and then have 2 more songs to have the relationship be sort of rounded out before fully sending things off, with Nice Guy and Shower Tears following things up. Nice Guy, another collaboration with Tyla, comes in. Another song about the relationship, but more praising the guy that she's with and how things are different than how they used to be, something that does come up a little bit after this point in the album. Before going into the other Summer Walker collab with Shower Tears, a song that looks back on the heartache scene in Love and really puts that on display before saying that things should be good now. It is a sort of good end cap to the relationship and talking about drama, but talking about how things are good now. And it's a solid jam. Another really solid collab with Summer Walker. I think she did some really good stuff with Cardi here, and I liked her contributions on this song. But then I close the album with how it closes in the original, with WAP, and don't do that. WAP being the near the end of the album sort of cut really does make sense in the context of the album, because it is like a song that's 5 years old, so it really should be near the end of the album, just as like a, alright, this is also here. But it makes, I feel like it makes more sense within the context of showcasing a lot of the highs Cardi has ridden over the last over the years between now and then. Because WAP, I mean, I was listening to it while doing the Redacted. I was listening to it today when I decided to revise the Redacted again, and it's still just a great song. I really like WAP. I loved it in 2020. I still love it now. It's still a fun song. It's still great. It's still got some great lines, and it's still just filthy in all the best ways. But I think it's interesting that the album originally closes with "Don't do too much," because Cardi did do a little too much during this era, album-wise. This original album was just really, really long. She didn't follow her own advice. But I also think it's cool to just see her do also just a drill-inspired cut. Also, considering, you know, she really does rep New York and the East Coast, that's also, like, drill-inspired stuff. It's popping off in parts of that scene. So to see her just dive into that, it's nice. And I don't think it's a bad execution. It just sort of, like, just gives things a nice, swift end, which feels apropos for drama and the quick release from being dramatic. As far as going too far, though, the moments that I cut, I did for mostly a multitude of reasons, with the exception of, like, one glaring outlier. But, like, a lot of the album, like I said in my Redacted, it kind of just feels a bit long. The album really just gets swept up in itself, and while I'm all for just doing one's own victory lap, Cardi runs, like, 4 miles with just BTA. Like, and again, power to her. If we're, like, making a record that's, like, concise with a vision, though, and which was, like, the purpose of this show, at least this version of doing the show, I'd cut tracks like Salute and Time, even if she's really pushing that as a single. I like the Jeezy and Lotto remix more than the original. If that were the original, maybe. But even then, like, I could have put that here, and I don't mind not having it here. But like, Trophies and Killing You Hoes, very much like just, especially in the back end of the record, just sort of like trying to not really round things up still, but like rushing to a finale as a result, just concept-wise. And then there's other songs like Better Than You or On My Back or What Man of Your Word that sort of add to the tapestry of the relationship that I just, when it came to trimming the album and really zeroing in on Cardi's ability as a star and hitmaker, which is her like ammo for this drama, that was more, those other songs sort of fell to the wayside. Not all of them I don't think are like bad, but as far as like being weaker components of the album, they do stand on those platforms. And I didn't put Money, even though that was like not a single from Invasion of Privacy, because I was just capping it at the 2020 mark for the sake of 5 years. But, like, yeah, that's mostly it. Outside of the Lizzo collab, like I said in the listening log, that is the one song I cut because I just really think it's absolutely horrible and a really bad interpolation of a song that I do love. And I'm glad to see getting some wild resurgence with a mashup that is just goofy. But, like, still, the interpolation here, not it, Chief. But that's my Redacted on Cardi B's Am I the Drama. Do you like the idea of this? Do you want to listen to it? Linked in the description. Apple Music and YouTube links. If you liked this, give it a like. Let me know your thoughts on it in the comments down below. If you want to see more, consider subscribing. I will be dropping the December listening log before the end of the week, and it's going to be a long one, let me tell you. And then I got Blueprints coming back this weekend. But either way, thank you so much for watching this. I've been Rack. You guys have good days, lives, and situations. And I'll see you another day.
I'ma make it work. I'ma start us on a track. A better spot, a better curve. Out the pocket, out the wallet, out the socket, out the purse. A monopoly of monotony. It will not be what I'm worth. Lifestyle.